So continuing where I left off, definition of autism has changed, and we find that autistic people and their families with different support needs share many of the same challenges, and that can be getting support with mental health, education, social care, and also being misunderstood, which can be especially more challenging with younger children since they are more limited on their communication abilities as it is. So, and it can make it even harder for their families to be able to understand them and to help them whenever they have any specific needs. So it is important to be careful. The autism diagnosis age and intensity and everything else that goes along with all of that can vary a lot. And, some infants will show signs a lot earlier on, and there are some people that will not show any signs until a few years down the line, or who might not actually show significant signs until much, much later in their life. So, the important thing to quote from this is not all children with autism show all the signs, and many children who don't have autism show a few. That's why a professional evaluation is crucial. And that bolded part is original to the website, but it is important to note that professional evaluations are important instead of just a personal opinion, because these are things that we take seriously, as can be seen later on when they're in the school system with the IEP process, all these different legally binding contracts and documents. It is something to be taken seriously to make sure that their needs can be met. And certain areas of their interactive abilities might not be fully developed, so they won't be able to respond the way one would expect an adult or at least an older child to interact. So some examples that I found from Stanford's child kind of milestone markers with eyesight and vision. Babies don't play peekaboo until anywhere from 7 to 11 months old. They're not really able to see color or recognize other objects except for important ones like their bottle or their mother until at least about 5 months. And then they don't even get close to having 20/20 vision until about 3 years old, anywhere from 2 to 3 years old, or just under 4 years old. And it's also important to note that things like culture, environment, socioeconomic status, and genetic factors, all of those different things can have an influence on when an infant or a toddler will begin to do important things like crawling, walking, talking, and interacting with the people around them. I've seen those kinds of situations firsthand, where you have kids that are not necessarily on the spectrum, but they're just having struggles for other reasons. So it's definitely, again, something to take a little bit more seriously. And so the signs of autism, according to the Autism Speaks website, it kind of details them a little bit clearer as far as months, but also the source that I mentioned at the bottom of the previous slide that talks about the socioeconomic factors goes through a little bit more of about where children should be at and what they should be doing at different stages in their development. But by 6 months, some key signs would be not really engaging a lot with expressions. They're not really smiling as much or making as much eye contact. By 9 months, little or no back and forth sharing of sounds. They don't really respond to sounds, smiles, expressions as much. And from 1 to 2 years, so by 12 months, they would have little or no babbling or sounds, asking others to interact, so doing things like pointing or showing, reaching, waving at people, and then they won't respond as much to their name either. And by about 16 months, they will have very few or no words. And then by 2 years, they'll have very few or no meaningful two-word phrases. And it does mention not including imitating or